Hello, everybody. I am Kerry Leonardini with Essentially Empowered Fitness here with my friend and fellow trainer, Jen Allan from Jen Allan Fitness. And we are coming to you today because we had it laid on our hearts that we want to share just some tips to help you if you're working out at home, which basically all of us are who are working out. And we want to make sure is your workout hurting you or helping you? So we're coming to you with 3 top tips to help ensure that you are progressing and moving forward in your workouts at home and that you're not putting yourself in a position to cause injury so you don't regress. So I've been in the fitness industry as a business probably for about 3 years now, but I've been doing fitness and involved in fitness for well over 15 years. So I was able to make it my passion, my job. And I have 2 littles at home that are now biggers now, and live here in the Bay Area. So I'm real excited to be able to come here with Jen and partner together to bring you some amazing tips that are going to help you with your fitness. Miss Jen, why don't you give us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so thanks, Kerry, so much for doing this. I think this is a time more than ever that we need to be connected. We need to be encouraging one another. We need to be talking about fitness. I think, especially during this time of being sheltered, it's more important now than ever. So, yeah, I
Yes.
run my own business. I'm self-employed like you, and I'm a personal trainer, and I teach small group exercise as well. And love functional fitness and circuit style training, strength training, you name it, cardio, kickboxing, kettlebell, Dynamax, medicine ball, boot camp circuits, you name it. I love it all. And I've been doing it for, I'm in my 11th year of business, and I have 2 boys. And I love training people of all shapes and sizes and ages. And I'm just passionate about getting people to move and eat cleanly and just embrace health and wellness. So that's what
Yeah.
motivates me.
Love it, love it, love it. So today we are talking about, are you hurting yourself or helping yourself in your workouts? So if there's so much available right now, I love how the fitness community is coming together to put out content, to offer workouts for free. So there's a plethora of workouts. There's no shortage for that. But what I'm not seeing is talking about form, talking about your level of fitness, the conditioning, how to warm up, cool down, the importance of what it takes to truly have a well-rounded fitness regimen. So Jen and I are here, want to share with you 3 key areas to focus on before you start your workout or your training program, especially if you're a beginner and working out at home is something new to you. So one of the first point that Jen and I want to talk about is knowing your true level of conditioning or fitness. So if you are new to working out and you see someone doing this really cool workout that's called Tabata or HIIT, and you've never done something like that, I highly encourage you to wait, step back and watch it before you try it. If you are at a beginner level and you try to do something that's high intensity and your body is not conditioned for that, nor your heart, you are going to feel very, very probably sick to your stomach, very uncomfortable, extremely high heart rate. And you're going to be very flustered and you're not going to be able to make it through that workout. So we want to talk about your true level conditioning and knowing where you're at within that. So Jen, I'll turn this over to you in regards to maybe a couple different tests that they can put themselves through to check out their current level of conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's all kinds of cardiovascular tests that you can give yourself. There's something called the 3-minute step test, which you can go ahead and follow along and do to find out where your max heart rate should be. There's another test. You just take your age, 220 minus your age, and that'll give you your max heart rate. But honestly, if you're a beginner and you're not used to getting your heart rate up, you really want to stay more in that zone 1 instead of going all the way to zone 2, zone 3. So, the 140 to 150 range for your heart rate. One really quick way that you can take your heart rate test is just try to get your heart rate up for a minute or so. Check your carotid artery, maybe count to 6. That's a 6-second test. Add a 0, and let's say if you're at 170 and you've been doing jumping jacks for a minute, ooh, that's going to be way too high for a beginner. So, and also just being just mindful of where your starting point is. And if you are a beginner, like Kerry said, you're not going to want to be jumping onto one of these high intensity interval training Tabata type classes that you could potentially be injured. So you really want to kind of work a little, then rest, and work a little, then rest. And don't feel that if you're watching a video online that you have to do everything that the instructor says and keep up with it, especially if it's high intensity. You need to recognize if your heart rate is really skyrocketing and you can barely get your breath, it's like, oh, well, we need to take this pace way down to more low impact. And so those are some things to be looking for, is just, having some body awareness of what's happening with your heart rate, how much you're sweating, are you getting flushed, do you feel dizzy or lightheaded? Because it can ramp up very quickly if you're not conditioned and used to those types of circuit style high intensity interval training. So
yeah, excellent. And I also want to put too, weight training. So if you're doing loaded movements, so if you're using dumbbells, if you have them at home, just being aware that you're not trying to lift potentially the same that maybe the instructor's doing on the video if you're not used to doing strength training. Again, you want to start small, probably more high repetitions until your body gets conditioned more to that load, and then you slowly start progressing and increasing your weight and lessening the repetitions. So again, it really comes down to conditioning your cardiovascular conditioning and your strength conditioning. So if you're a beginner, start small, less is more, and then you start building up over time. So that was point number one. Point number two we had is body awareness. Body awareness is huge. So if you're unable to know where your body is in relation to the ground, or if you are putting yourself in the proper positioning for a squat or a hip hinge or a push or a pull rotation, and if your mind's not connecting to maybe your core to keep it braced as you're running, or if you're doing strength training. So body awareness is number two, understanding the different type of movement patterns and the different type of exercises that you're doing. So again, a squat, what does a basic squat look like? See the person in the background, I saw him. So understanding what a squat is, a proper positioning, how to load your squat, having a proper angle in regards to the ankle, knee, and hip, and having core engagement. So there's tons of videos on YouTube where you can go and find proper form and technique. You can also follow Jen and I and be able to get some how-to videos and tutorials on our YouTube channel. We'll also leave our contact information in the description. But Jen, I would love for you to speak to that point as well with the body awareness and kind of, what you've seen maybe during training sessions with your clients. I know for myself, body awareness and muscle engagement is huge. I preach it, I practice it, and I drill it into my clients because I know teaching them the fundamentals, which body awareness is one, is going to carry them into progressing. And I can know that they're safe when they're not with me doing training, that I know that they're going to be able to do the programming I give them when they're not with me and do it safely.
One of the most important things you want to take a beginner through is to teach them proper core techniques. And that's kind of like the ABCs, the basics of what does the proper plank look like? A plank is a very important, very effective exercise, but if it's not done correctly, it can be very damaging. A lot of people, they don't know how to properly brace and to get the hip engaged, the glute, the ab, and they let their back sway down and putting pressure on that lower lumbar, and they could really be straining their back and causing more harm than good. So one of the most effective tools that I use is a mirror, because as I'm helping them to understand that proper form, and they can and look at themselves in the mirror, like, oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. And or if we're doing a floor bridge, if they have their feet too far out, again, that's going to strain the back. They have to have proper alignment between the knee over the foot and getting the lumbopelvic hip complex engaged. But those are all things that they may not necessarily know on their own, which is why in the beginning, it's really helpful to work with a personal trainer. And nowadays we're using Zoom and all kinds of different formats, but we have the eyes to be able to recognize very quickly and to spot if that person has improper form or if they're doing well. So sometimes it's just a good check-in to have a professional work with you. It may not need to meet very many meetings, but just to have a quick check-in to say, where are you with your core conditioning, and are you safe enough to take on the next level of your fitness?
Yep. Excellent point, definitely. And then point number 3 that we had to talk over is warm up and cool down. So each time you work out, you should have a proper warm up that's going to go over basically opening up and warming up the muscles and joints that you're going to be working. Dynamic warm up, flexibility, mobility, and then also having that cool down at the end. That cool down can, again, helps lower that heart rate, body temperature, and be able to then go do some static stretching of the muscle groups that you contracted during the workout, as well as doing self-myofascial release, or known as foam rolling, to again be able to release that fascia and let the muscles go back and elongate back for their length tension relationship. So warm-ups, again, highly important. Cool down. A lot of videos right now, us as trainers, you know, people putting them out there, they're going right into that workout. They're not doing potentially a warm up or a cool down in it, because they're doing it before and after the video recording is done. So keep that in mind. If you are following along and doing these videos that you're finding, make sure you are properly getting a dynamic warm up, about 3 to 5 minutes, and probably another 3 to 5 minute cool down, maybe longer depending on the length of the workout you did, the muscle groups you did. If you're doing strength training and you're using load, as in weights, and it's a larger load, you definitely want to make sure you take a little bit longer to be foam roll or self-myofascial release those muscles to help with the recovery process and hopefully lessen some of the soreness. Jen, I'd like to turn it over to you and get your input.
So one of the things that I always try to teach people in the beginning, especially a new client, is the relationship between softening, lengthening, and strengthening. So the softening phase, as Kerry mentioned, is that self-myofascial release. It's that foam rolling component. And it's just critical, especially if people have a lot of tightness in their body. Maybe they sit a lot at their computer. Maybe they're in traffic and their glutes and their hips are really tight. Maybe they have tight calves, or they have stuff going on with plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis. You know, it's like, let's address the tightness first before we start jumping into a rigorous exercise program. So oftentimes people overlook that because, quite honestly, it doesn't feel great when you get on a foam roller for the first time. It's like you're digging for gold nuggets in there, you know, it hurts. But, you know, if you can really penetrate those roadblocks within your fascia tissue, those adhesions that are built up over time, you know, those problems in your fascia can lead to kinetic chain problems, mobility, all kinds of chronic issues down the road that can lead to injury. So I am a huge stickler on foam rolling, and it's a part of my warm up with my clients. So that's the softening. The lengthening, as Kerry mentioned, is so important to have dynamic warm up before you get into the nitty gritty. I like to tell my clients, it's kind of like you're telling a story in your fitness. You have a good essay, has a good introduction, a body paragraph, and a conclusion. So every good exercise program has a warm up. It has the strength training component or the plyometrics or whatever you're doing. That's the meat of the heart of the program. And then it has the conclusion, which is the static stretches at the end, making sure to stretch out those muscles that have worked really hard. And so there's a relationship there. So the softening, the lengthening, the dynamic stretches, and then the strengthening is our hypertrophy training, compound resistance, squats, presses, flies, all those things that we do in fitness to work our muscle groups in a complementary and balanced way.
Yes. Awesome. I love it. So I hope this has helped you guys. So to recap, we're talking about 3 levels or 3 tips that you can do to ensure that you are progressing in your fitness and not harming yourself when you're doing these at-home workouts. So one is knowing your true level of conditioning, body awareness, and then having a warm up and cool down. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to Jen or I. We'd be happy to help you and work with you. Again, virtually are working now with the shelter in place. So virtual trainings are available one-on-one along with small groups. So Jen has a small group classes going on right now as well. And I do my online monthly programming and virtual personal training right now. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for checking us out. Take care.